Everybody's dreams. Frustrations mean mistakes are made. Until it seems everybody's just throwing shade. Hi friends, I'm host Eric, host talking with French people, and I'm here tonight to inform you that yes, indeed, INFPs needlessly wear sweaters. I used to think that from tomorrow, every tempered yesterday, it's not the sort of thing that one can borrow. No one willing to see day. Okay, enough of that. So, Eric, can you believe that Sarah MBTI typed Marlon Brando INFP because of the way he walks? I never really thought about what type Marlon Brando is. It just seems a strange way to type somebody. Gait? It's like Voltology for the legs. It's funny. So I wanted to share with everybody my amazing insight. INFPs needlessly wear sweaters. Could be 90 degrees outside, could be 95 degrees, could be 110 degrees. The INFP girl with the big boobs is going to be wearing a sweater. Guaranteed. Guaranteed she's going to be wearing a sweater. Why? Because her body and her personal feelings and everything are all very feelies and introverted and stuff. So she wears a sweater to cover herself. If you want to spot INFPs, this is a good way to do it. Just wait till there's a hot day, walk around a public place, and whatever girls are in sweaters, those are your INFPs. I wonder if guys do that too. If INFP guys needlessly wear sweaters. I think so, probably. Big, bunchy sweaters that really are voluminous. So, what I want to do is I want to speak right now to all the INFPs in the world. Go ahead. You can take off that sweater. It's really hot. You can't possibly be comfortable. Go on, just take it off. There's no reason to wear a sweater in hot weather. You've got a long sleeve shirt and a sports bra underneath that. Just take off the goddamn sweater, for God's sake. You're going to cook. All right? Nobody's staring at your big titties. Okay, well, maybe a little bit. But that's to be expected. It's fine. So, anyhow, well, right now it's sweater weather, sure. But even in the middle of a hot day, now's the perfect time to see it. Like, if you go out on a hot day in the wintertime, what will you determine? You will see more people in sweaters than a hot day in the summertime. Why? Because people adjust less quickly. Well, that's a good time to spot your INFPs. Hi, Richello. Well, to be noted that INFPs have a propensity for sneaking off behind the school to smoke cigarettes. So you probably want to look for people who are needlessly wearing sweaters with cigarette burned holes in them because they're not very body aware in that regard. So girls with bunchy, voluminous sweaters in hot weather with the sweaters have cigarette holes in it, those are your INFP girls for sure. Okay. So if you're looking for INFPs. Now note, if you're thinking, "Ooh, I'm looking forward to getting underneath that sweater and see what's up underneath there," there's no guarantee that you know. It's like they will all cover themselves up. Doesn't matter what they look like. It's the point. So it's not like you can know in advance you're gonna get what you're gonna get under there. Can an INFP girl handle an ESFP person? No. Oh, well, okay, Cloud. You're really winning a lot of arguments tonight. I'm impressed. Are you sure you're an ESFP? Um, Naruto and Hinata does work. That's true. But I mean, does it really work? They never really get together. She just faints every time he comes around, and he's kind of oblivious and kind of wants to get on Sakura, and always forgets about Hinata. They did win in the post Naruto hentai. Do they kiss or what? Do they have babies? See, I'm curious. I want to know what happens if the nine tail, the cloak of the nine tail enrobes Naruto while they're having sex. Will her vag be burned by his fiery chakra? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. I hope not. Maybe he goes into sage mode instead. Eric, can I handle ISTP girl? I'm sure I could, but I don't want to. I'm the supervisor of ISTP. ISTP girls are easy for me to handle. ISTP guys are easy for me to handle too. Just as I'm easy for INFPs to handle. But fortunately, I'm not interested in bossing around ISTPs, just like INFPs aren't interested in bossing around me. They're busy in the sweater department buying more sweaters. Can I handle a handle? A handle of what? Like a handle of Jack Daniels? No. I cannot handle even a smidge of it. Can I handle them? Can I handle them with my hands? No, because I'm in a relationship. Even if I weren't in a relationship, I wouldn't want to handle an ISP girl because I just know right off the bat they're going to feel supervised the whole time. You want to handle any handle while wearing a flannel? Can you handle more CSJ? I can handle plenty of CSJ. Nothing quite as satisfying as enjoying C.S. Joseph's funny content. I could just watch it for hours and hours and hours and hours, endlessly. Would I kiss him? For what purpose? I mean, it would have to be an appropriate purpose. And we wear sweaters to hide all the cuts? Some of them perhaps do, but I think mostly they wear sweaters to hide their boobs. They don't want guys looking at their boobs. It makes them feel feelings of FI. Like, he's looking at my boobs. Like that. What do you mean by INFPs, the metaphysical executive? Are they just planning and thinking about how to control to get to them and barely acting on it? No. What I mean is they're trying to determine kind of the preconditions as to whether or not something is ready to move forward into the physical world. That's why they're so hesitant on making any sort of decisions about things. It's almost like pre-execution. It's like between analysis and execution almost. Let me hide the one thing I have different. Right. If I have big tits, I have to cover them up with a voluminous sweater. so that, nobody notices me for my body. Because I'm very selfish about my body and my bodily experiences because it's thirst a lot SI. And I'm very self-focused in general because I'm an FI dom. And I'm very ideational, which means the action I take is all in words, not an actual action. And to the extent that I want to take action is sort of through the interface function of TE. I know one thing. How can't you distinguish between CSJB, ESFP, or ESTJ? You can't tell them apart. They have in common. The answer to that I've given before, which is, frankly, I've barely watched any of the guy. I don't like him right off the bat. And so there you go. The other thing is to the other thing to note is you can't really type somebody based on the media they put up because it's affect only. You got to do some sort of process analysis. And to do process analysis, you need to test some skills. I can't do that when I'm just watching someone's video. So I don't like to pretend as though I can determine clearly what somebody's type is without being able to do that kind of process analysis. You got to pull on some things and see. You got to push on some things and see. You got to ask some follow-up questions, shit like that. And I've maintained consistently all along is I can't definitively tell you what anybody's type is who I've not actually had a conversation with and spoken with for a stretch time. Can you explain the ISTJ personality simply for a little bit for my mom here, please? ISTJ. The ISTJ personality type is one that, first and foremost, knows from their own experience what's happened to them before, their own bodily sensations, how they feel in the moment, what they know about themselves and their relationship with things like food and sleep, and the objects they possess comprise the majority of the ISTJ's conscious attention. So ISTJ will know all of the things she has and where they are. And an ISTJ will have done a lot of solvency to make sure that her relationships with those objects and the things she uses and the commonalities of her life are streamlined for maximum efficiency and goal orientation as per her own understanding of what that means. Then there's additionally, they have FI in the third slot. So ISTJs are very good to those they love. They enjoy the process of loving other people, valuing other people, and being with those they value, and being with things they value as such. It goes along additionally with a perception in the ISTJ that everybody who's being socially attentive is probably being manipulative. So ISTJ will conceive of individuals who schmooze as manipulative and not to be trusted in general. Now, it can also be said that the ISTJ has any in the fourth slot. What this means is ISTJs do not like being suddenly asked to improvise. Oh, you'll figure it out on the fly is something no ISTJ ever wants to hear. They enjoy extroverted intuition, that is to say, making some jokes, coming up with some ideas, drawing pictures, for example, like Cameron does, expressing themselves. They like it when someone else will draw this out of them, as I tend to draw it out of Cameron. So if somebody else seeks their creative input or into something, they appreciate that a lot. And ultimately, they only care about the abstractions, like this cognitive function taxonomy here. introverted intuition in the eighth slot. For them, they only care about whether this thing is true or what these symbols are and stuff, insofar as it contributes to their or upholds their, or generally is consistent with their experiential knowing. So there's not a lot of experience that links to these kind of language-based delineations of ideas. These don't link to an ISTJ's experience very, very distinctly. So as a consequence, they don't retain the information very well. Cameron, who's been hanging around me for years, still can't remember that TE means this or SI means that. Kimberly was the same way. Hi, Lisa TJ. What do I think about Plato's four temperaments? You mean Mia, Mia, Pia, and Piao? Well, let me pull a bomb up and I'll tell you all about it. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would say that sounds stupid, Cloud. That I need to do a process analysis to be confident about it. It's like for the same reason a psychiatrist or a psychologist doesn't do diagnoses on people they've never spoken with or sat down with and actually had a chance to diagnose. You know, if you ask a professional psychologist or psychiatrist who cares about their professional reputation at all, is Trump crazy? Then they'll say, well, I can't tell you that. He's not a patient of mine. I've never sat down with the man. I don't know. All I get is his affect, that which he displays publicly. Okay, Cloud. I'm glad to see you're constantly sitting there being the gauge of all knowing. Great to know that I've got a gauge of all knowing sitting on the fence, knowing everything, rendering the final judgment on everything. It's good stuff. Yeah, I know. Eric, don't you act like a gauge of all knowing all the time. I do. Fair enough. Okay. Lisa TJ. Question. Are you an INFP? You are smarter in case you get cold. I'd rather be too hot than too cold. I think most men would agree they like their women that way better. Too hot rather than too cold? I mean, to the extent that, in fact, that men have an opinion about how they prefer their women, too hot or too cold, they'd say, I prefer them the right temperature. Well, that's true, but okay. What I'm saying, Lisa, is that most INFP women will wear big sweaters because they want to hide their boobs. Okay? They've got boobs on them, like all women do. And the more desirable those boobs are to look at, the more an INFP girl is going to want to cover them up with a big sweater because they don't want to be noticed in particular. They're busy experiencing their own subjective calculi within their own subjective knowledge frame and their own subjective solvency frame. And the only thing that's universalist about them at all is their action function, is their tool function. First class, I'm not worried about feminist, radical, or otherwise. I am, by any reasonable account of the word, absolutely a feminist. If you don't think I'm a feminist, then you're not a feminist. Because a real feminist is somebody who believes all individual human beings have fundamentally equal autonomy and so forth. Well, you know what? First, last, I didn't get that it was a joke. I took it seriously. I took it very seriously. Now my life has changed. I did everything differently than I was going to. And why? Because you didn't make it clear that it was a joke. Okay? That's why you have to start with that. Forewarning, joke ahead. Otherwise, I'm likely to get it wrong. I'm going to feel stupid. Everyone's going to laugh at me. Instead of it, the joke that I thought was a joke, it wasn't even a joke, or it was a joke. It'll be a big mess. Yeah, get the joke stamps out. I'm not even sure what those are. It better not be a joke, though. Okay. Whew. Now that I'm done tangling with first last, Gauge of All Knowing, the final stand of the Kingdom of Correctness. That's a good title for a movie. Trigger warning, you suck ass. Hey, I warned you. I warned you. You might be triggered by this. Ass sucker. Hey, I warned you. Trigger warning, I said. Okay, so. RI info. Are you info? Am I info? Yes. The me that anyone watching after this live stream who might go watch the stream, and that stream it's recorded and I'm no longer actually streaming, then I will simply be information. Am I an INFP? No, I am not. Do I look clad in sweaters needlessly? I don't think so. Well, stop, your words are triggered. I am not an ENFJ either, John Sims. What do you say about INFPs who are obsessed with taking revenge on people who hurt their feelings? And I'm also not an ISTJ. I've not met such a person. I've not met an INFP who was obsessed with taking revenge on people who hurt their feelings. There may be such, but I've not encountered them. I find INFPs are generally okay. Well, I mean, look, if there are damaged INFPs, if they're BPD or something, they're going to take out a lot of hurt and anger and stuff on their significant other. But if they're not damaged, then by and large, I think they're quite obsessed with neither incurring suffering, nor causing suffering, nor witnessing suffering, nor enabling suffering. So, as a consequence, they needlessly wear sweaters. It's a suffering barrier. The barrier between them and the attention of others, which might cause them discomfort, which is a mild variant of suffering. Someone who's bent on revenge is not an INFP. I think the most vengeful types are probably ISTPs. I think in general, ISTPs can be quite vengeful. They're very much interested in a harsh form of justice. Their TI is dominant. The fourth slot FE means it's important to them in some sense that they get enough FE validation and such. And if they feel like they've been insulted or slighted or whatever, they hit back with equivalent. There's no peacemaking because SC is the tool function. They just do it, And so they end up having kind of a harsh understanding of justice, ISPs do. This INFP thinks INTJs are hot. Otherwise, okay, John Sims, be honest now. How many sweaters are you wearing? 3, 2, 3, 4? And how bunchy are they? Are they big bunchy sweaters? He was doing words of wisdom for each type. The ENTP one was, you're absolutely unique, just like everyone else. How do I feel about that as words of wisdom for the ENTP? I guess, what's the purpose of the words of wisdom? Is it to teach the ENTP something they need to know? Or something that they'll find useful? Or what? I can seek revenge pretty bad for a bit, then I cool down. Shaggy D-O-O Kale. What type are you? April showers, Mayflowers. If you are an INFP, I know that you probably do need to wear sweaters, okay? Now look, you know what I'd be thinking at the time, I need to wear this sweater. But you got to ask some third parties for their objective essentials to calculus. Do I really need to wear this sweater? Ask somebody, Tell me the truth. Just give it to me straight. Like, no, it's pretty hot out. And then you'd be like, damn, Eric was right. Hi, it's me. I'm in the CSJ public group openly as count as one lol. Something happened to someone I care about, and I'm there to find more information about it. Interesting. Now that's a juicy bit of interestingness. Let me send Rachel an emoji of some sort. Okay. What if C.S. Joseph is an INFP? I don't think so. Well, I don't think he is. He's too meowdy man for an INFP. Count as one. I don't. Someone was banned having sexual relations with a minor. He was baited, I think, and happened to be drunk. Somebody in C.S. Joseph's community or what? You're wearing flannel? Okay, so look, hey, John, I think you just clarified things for me. Girls needlessly wear sweaters. Male INFPs needlessly wear flannel. Oh, first, last, who cares if she's a spy? Let her be a spy. Not that big of a deal to be a spy. She's doing God's work. Let her be. She's taking her own life into her own hands here, okay? She knows that they play rough over there. They shoot first, ask questions later. But, she's a go-getter. She wants to really rise up in the hierarchy here at TWFP. So she's taking on this mission. She could earn an honorable medal of some sort. This was a joke. This is the joke stamp signed by the jester, first to last. Okay. Cool. We should make 17 types. CHA Discord is pretty cringe and culty from an outside perspective. Cringe and culty, huh? Okay, well, here's the thing. it's going to play off cringing culty if, in fact, he's astroturf shit a lot. Like get rid of all the people who disagree or try to argue with them or what. Then there's not going to be a lot of dissenting voices in the community, and there's going to be a lot of echo chamber stuff. And everyone's going to sort of get off on echoing each other. It's going to give it a culty feel. Whether or not he's actually a cult leader, I mean, I don't know, but I don't think he's trying to get people to do anything in particular. I've heard rumors about him like sleeping his way through the community or something, but that's just third-hand shit, hearsay. I don't know. Why do I have a headache? Ouch. Your other account was banned from the group. Why was it banned? Because you said some critiquing things or what? Did you say you didn't love C.S. Joseph? It's a ban. Eric, do you ever create a bond or connection with groups of people or a person? Yeah, sure. I mean, I see bonds with people as being burdens, really. Like, I need to be a part of those people's lives periodically. It's like an SI burden. Well, that's what I mean. I have a very close bond with Rachel. I have a close bond with my daughter. I have a close bond with my dad. Of all those close bonds, my one with my daughter is easiest because we're both at bipolar. So we don't think a close bond means we have to talk to each other very much. We can just, and we do talk, even if we haven't talked for a long time, it's usually a quick thing like, hey, I need you to meow. Okay, all right, fine, cool. But periodically we talk to each other, and it's like the bond between me and my daughter is very deep and very constant. I know very clearly that we are totally on the same page. We love each other tremendously and consider each other massively important people in our lives, and yet don't go out of our way to do much of anything with each other, with Rachel, it's part of being a team. It's working together to the same goals, and knowing that both people are knowing that the other person is like family person, right? Like, there's family, and then there's women. I always wanted a woman that I could trust like family. Nothing happened to us. We're fine. I was asked about close bonds. Do I have close bonds with anybody? Yeah, I do have some close bonds. Not very many of them. And what those close bonds look and feel like are different things between different people. So because Rachel and I function as a team, that's the kind of close bond that makes me want to touch base a lot more often. And it does make me a little bit sad that we're absent from each other and physically, but at the same time, this is good for a temporary period. For a temporary stretch of time, this is good. My um my dad, it's a different kind of close bond. I always feel like I'm struggling to get past certain aspects of him that prevent him from, in some way, having a real conversation with me, or what I consider a real conversation. Yeah, I think it's here. I agree. I really dislike heavy moderation, and I've learned that I have to set some boundaries. My dad is an ESTJ. I'm thirsty. I need to get up. I need to get myself a cup of coffee. I need to smoke a cigarette. Can you guys please, if you don't mind terribly, um, can you please challenge yourselves? We just started discussing my B. Who's your B? What is that? Isaiah, are you Rachel's bitch? Is that what you're saying? Wow. You really took over there pretty quickly, Rachel. Other Rachel, Rachello. My name's Rachello. This is my bitch, Isaiah Rude. Eric, one thing, but I make them good. What, Cloud? The first time I saw you was Asshole's Guide to the MBTI. Okay, well, that's good to know. That's a successful video. Are you an INTP now, Eileen? That actually makes some sense in a way. Well, kind of explain why you always want to argue with me, I guess. Have you ever thought about answering the question, how many meows must a man walk down before they can call him a meow? When you can answer that question, you'll be ready, grasshopper. Then you'll be ready. I know, guy. looking at me? Hi. Yeah, I like you. You're cool. Come here, stick tail. You're a good little fishy. I like you. You yellow bottoms. Is that your name? Are you yellow bottoms? Hello. You fish are good fish. I like you. So small. What are you doing? Hmm. I tell you what's nice is having these little fishes around here. They're very soothing to look at. Just swimming around, making fish cheese, singing cock-a-doodle-doo all day long. I wonder if they sleep. Do fish sleep? I wonder if they're happy in there, or if they wish they could get out. I mean, they should be happy. They got a relatively decent amount of room for such little fish, and they got no predators in there. They're good just in true fish. Oh, silly fish. Swimming around, looking at stuff. Are you confused about where you are? Do you just not care where you are? You just kind of think, well, this is just what life is. You just swim around a big glass box filled with water. Oh, little fishies. I like you. I'm glad I got you. Little fishies, you're the one. You make Aquarius so much fun. Little fishy said you're the favorite one. Little fishy swimming round, round and round under the ground. Little fishies and swimming round and round. They're clearly doing important things, those fish. I think they're planning a caper of some sort. Hi, Tim Bolger. Madame Curie. Didn't she eat a bunch of radium and die? The thing is, I do think that people will slide sometimes into their dual type. I'll sometimes slide into an ISFJ modality if I've experienced the trauma of some sort. You know, I don't know. We should be celebrating radium eating, you guys. Kind of set a bad example. Oh, my kitty friend. So good and just true and special. Oh my goodness. I'm astonished by your glory. Have I mentioned that you are an incredible kitty pageant winner? It's true. You've won the kitty pageant again. Year after year, day after day, moment after moment. You win the kitty pageant over and over again. It's true. You're not lying this time. Oh, my beautiful, beautiful kitty. Oh, sorry to make jokes about about your cherished Mercury. She can't even get up there. It's not conveniently located for peeping. INFPs do needlessly wear sweaters. The girls do. We've since determined, of course, that the male INFPs senselessly wear flannels. I think that sums it up. Basically, you can identify the type. You just got to go to on a day where it's a little bit too hot to be wearing a sweater or a flannel, and your INFPs will still be wearing sweaters and flannels, respectively, the females and the males. I am so FKN confused, Eric. Will you please explain to me what you were talking about? I am talking about the INFP personality type. They are people of a persuasion known as introverted feeling, followed by extrovert intuition. Extrovert intuition is this crazy, wacky, talk a lot kind of thing that I got going on. Except amongst the introverts, it's hidden away behind their skull plate. Life is hard. I'm not alone experiencing this. True that, woman. True that. Ain't none of us alone when we got our friends here talking with Spanish people, helping us to jingle all the way to the ontological bank. Glibly said, but true. I did get a comment once in high school on a paper I wrote. You said, a tad glib. I always remember that. I think it's funny. Hey, who's calling who glib? Don't call me glib. I think you're more curious about your dual, whereas you're more magnetized to your shadow. Right? Because your FE feel good when you bring so many people together. In and of itself, I would say not so much anymore, although I'll occasionally realize that this community is centered around the videos I make and live stream video and stuff. And it strikes me as great and sort of re-surprising. Like, wow, you know. But my FE's just it's a little inactive in that regard. So I feel most FE satisfaction when I make a good joke, probably, is my most FE satisfaction. I know people are laughing. Even though I can tell when it's a good one because I'll get like 3 or 4 different lols in the chat rather than just one, rather than just a courtesy lol from Rachel. So, so if we don't know what type we are, then what will happen to us? Ooh, bad things, little girl, bad things. Terrible things will happen to you if you don't know your type. You'll walk down all the wrong paths in life, make all the wrong decisions. Before you know it, you'll be eating dinner-sized, roll-sized nuclear bombs. That'll be the end of you. Even if they don't go off, you're never going to pass those through your colon. INFPs are more airy-fairy. INFPs are more punk rock. Does knowing one's type bring any advantage over those ignorant? Well, knowing the ways of typology does help a lot. Thanks, baby. I love you too. It's dealing with my dad, I now am able to recognize a lot of things as simply being a blind spot of his and not bother going, but Dad. So is that helpful? Yeah, it's helpful. I understand it better. And I try to meta up occasionally and it doesn't really get anywhere. But, I know when to not bother pushing back. In general, I know when to not bother pushing back with somebody. A lot better now than I used to. And I also know if I do want to push back and I want to get some sort of other conclusion than the one that's being concluded, that there are ways to go about that make more sense strategically or tactically than other ways. It's sort of a workaround for selfish third slot FE. In other words, I learned to interface with people socially that are that enable me to be more effective in interfacing with them. Knowing your weaknesses makes you aware of what you put extra effort into. The other thing is, it allows you to frame your weakness in a way that you can put extra effort into it. So, for example, I'm aware increasingly that I need to be inclusive in my truths more rather than exclusive. I tend to be rather combative and adversarial. This is an FI matter. If I'm being FI aware, it means taking into account the fact that the other person is having feelings right now, and being told that you're wrong and being dismissed contemptuously and being, slapped about the room, so to speak, is not going to produce good feelings. And those bad feelings are going to often determine a person's relationship with me and my ideas, regardless of whether that's fair or objective or whatever. For example, Ron Solo is having his jimmies ruffled right now by Countess. Whether or not he's enjoying it and having good FI as a consequence, or feeling as though his privacy is being invaded and having bad FI as a response, well, that depends on his interested calculus. Does he want his jimmies ruffled? Is really the question. Shall we ruffle Ron's jimmies? Is the eternal question we ask around here. Jimmy ruffling. labeling is wrong. Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to reduce an individual to just their type, but it's also the case that understanding people requires making distinctions. And if you don't make any distinctions at all, then you approach life with only one modality of interacting with it, namely in the moment, on the fly, SE kind of extroverted sensing, meaning like viewing the world as a series of evolving opportunities that one can pull the trigger on. If you want to just experience life as just that, then great, go for it. But it's not the case that labeling is inherently bad or wrong or stupid or whatever else. It just means that you don't operate a lot with, I guess you'd say, statuses. Statuses are another word for labels. It's a little less, has a little less negative connotation. So, like, a status would be, like Countess says here, I have a boyfriend. So she's announcing a status that says, you cannot have sex with me if you're not my boyfriend. So that's a status matter. It's a binary. It's a distinction she's making. And you might say those distinctions are stupid, that labeling herself such is dumb. But the reason that she's making the distinction is because she's trying to communicate something that means something universally. So something everybody can interpret the same way. FI doesn't like labels, is correct, what Anginger says. What that means is almost for certain you're what we refer to as an introverted feeler, which is, say, you value the authentic experience of an individual human being, and you see language's capacity to reduce individual human beings to a bucket or a box is somehow evil or does more harm than good. One of the advantages of learning about cognitive functions is we get to see how we all begin by being locked in our frame like that. We assume our native modality is not just our way, but the correct way. And when we learn more, we realize that each of the ways of attending and the corresponding values and behaviors that go along with those ways of attention is appropriate for certain contexts. You feel bad for my parents? Okay. Hi, J Red. We're well. Welcome. Are INFPs allowed to relax the pedantic for a bit? But the pedantry for a bit? I feel that like I need a break from it sometimes. Is that call my type into question? I mean, I think I need a break from it sometimes too. Tom Jiggleston, well said. Very well said. Yeah, I mean, labels box people in to the extent they want to be boxed in by them, or to the extent that they misunderstand the nature of the label. The label here is a configural. It's a configural reality. It's saying that the nature of attention such that they have an inherent exclusivity to them. For example, coming up with lots of new ideas means I'm spending most of my time coming up with new ideas, which means I'm not spending my time organizing and keeping track of the ideas I've already come up with mostly. So those things are, you can't do both concurrently. So it's like there's some basic realities that make us an example of a configuration. To the extent that that configuration limits us is not because we know too much about our configuration, but because we know too little about it. I mean, ultimately, it's about being honest with yourself about your habits. Knowing and accepting a type for yourself is about being honest with yourself about how you habitually are. And how you habitually are is a combination of how you decide or figure things out, how you know, how you interact with the world in a responsive way, and how you act upon the world in a impactful way. And it is absolutely true that high expert intuition constantly reinvents the wheel because we don't intend to do the SI enough. That's true. I'm constantly re-going over ideas I've generated and talked about before. And the reason is because I don't exactly remember. I have to re-go over it, so I keep it in my head. Another thing is it helps us to understand, you know, it helps me at least to understand why some people are so spiteful that they're not reachable by reason or something. It helps me to get that, okay, well, it's a modalities thing, and my ways of interacting simply aren't collaborative enough with their ways of receiving that I can really get anywhere with them. Why are some trolls so boring? Why can't we get more Jeebus sort of standard? I mean, like Lizzie Girl probably wasn't a troll, probably was a spite monkey. Somebody who wants to come in and do harm to me with their words. Obviously, they're not going to be successful, but it's kind of a good thing, I guess. They keep coming around. Reminds me to keep in mind that there are people out there in the world who are going to be mindlessly, determinedly against me, no matter what. And that there are limits in my ability to get through to people. How would you gauge your ability to sense the hidden motivations of others, Eric? Pretty strong, actually. At least I'd say my ability to withhold judgment on those matters is good until I feel as though my judgment about their motivations is realized. It's not necessarily fast, but I have enough. I don't tend to invest full trust incorrectly. Like, I still believe I can fundamentally trust Spacey and that he's a fundamentally good person and that he's not dragged himself through the mud in this process exactly. I don't have anything against him. Most people are using their type as an excuse for their misbehavior that will result in them never becoming better. I mean, misbehavior according to whom? Is it actually bad behavior, or is it bad behavior within your frame? So, for example, genuine bad behavior is behavior you can see as violatory in some fashion. That it violates somebody's appropriate and reasonable boundaries, rights, whatever. If you're talking about that kind of bad behavior, well, there's just simply no excuse for it, and type can't really even begin to excuse it. If you're saying, well, I'm this way because I'm I'm just not very good with keeping track of shit because I'm an INFP. That's probably true. It's probably the fact that you think it's just an excuse of bad behavior. The INFP probably doesn't see it as bad behavior. And the INFP is probably right for themselves. Performing bad in a relationship work. Well, look, if you're performing badly at work, you probably have the wrong job. How much we ought to prioritize the utilitarian calculus of things. What's in your interest? What makes good sense as far as being a smart way to do things, and um, what's not too impulsive, but instead is caring about your long term, all that stuff. That's TE stuff. If we want to acknowledge the primacy of that frame, then we can answer that question. But if we don't acknowledge the primacy of that frame, then each of those questions is going to be kind of particular. I often rant and completely forget what my point was. Happens to me too, bro. Happens to me too. Yeah. It's called rantanesia. Well, like I said, the answer in that frame is if a person is performing badly at work, there's a decent chance they don't like that job and that it's not the right job for them and not the right situation. So is it a bad outcome that we have to, that's being justified, bad behavior is being justified? I mean, the thing is, you always need to put the ball in the right person's court. So let's say somebody's performing badly at work and you go, well, you need to step it up and perform better. The person who's performing badly needs to come to terms with the fact that this maybe not be the right job for them, or decide that it's what, for whatever reason, they do want to perform well and change their behavior. So it's like, well, discomfort makes us stronger to a point. It's good to be challenged. It's not good in general to attempt to accomplish anything from a state of discomfort. So, like, yeah, well, there are days when you don't feel like it, even though you like the job. I mean, that's a battle I have with myself. Sometimes I'm flaky for no reason. Like, I missed the first debate round that I was supposed to judge the last debate tournament just because I was being flaky, not any good reason. And I was unhappy with myself. And I talked to myself a lot about it. And I discussed it on the channel and such. It's like part of that is holding myself accountable so that next time I just fucking go to the round and don't do that shit. Or I decide that, fuck it, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it if I want to and not worry about it. One of the two things, right? I don't want to be holding myself accountable for something and keep doing it and keep fucking up. Either at that point, I need to make a decision and you need to come to terms with the reality. Either it doesn't really matter to me, in which case, stop worrying about it, stop feeling guilty about it, and just do it. Or it does matter to me, in which case, stop doing it. No, Cloud, I mean, the thing is, a lot of times we aren't really clear on those points, what does matter to us. I think I'm pretty clear on the debate round thing. I'd rather just be a responsible human being and do the job I'm supposed to be doing and not place, squeeze out the slack that I can, which is what I was frustrated with myself for. Yeah, I could get away with it. Yeah, I did get away with it. Yeah, there were no consequences at all. Nobody even said anything to me. But it doesn't matter. It's like, I can hold myself to a higher standard than that. I should. It's not that high of a standard is why. If it were a high standard, fine. I'm slacky too. But it's not a very high standard. It's just do your fucking job. Just because you can get away with not doing it this round, do it anyway because it's your job. Be responsible. That's my conversation to myself about this shit. All right. I'm going to drink this coffee. I'm going to chat with you guys about 10 more minutes, and I'm going to go inside and watch this basketball game with my dad. My father's a TE dom, and my mother's an FE auxiliary. If they knew about my MBTI, my mom could at least empathize with his occasional crudeness, and he can understand her inefficiency. Yeah, well, it's like my parents. My mother spent her whole marriage cringing and trying to shush David periodically, at least, as he got a little effy out of hand. Um, and my dad spent the whole marriage just sort of working around the fact that my mom. Well, I mean, he did a good job of integrating her into TE stuff. So it's like he he found the things that she could do, and he assigned her those tasks. Basically, she did those. Like he was lamenting the other day that mom used to always do the taxes, but now he's got to do it. So interesting. Well, David's my dad for one thing. I don't know what other David was talking about. Pop out chat, pop out the chat, change it to live chat, pop out the chat. Live chat is different than regular chat. I guess it's a blessing because holding on to hate grudge sounds like an awful way to live. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to hold on to hates and grudges either. New York is full of ESFJs, INFPs, ESFPs, and ENTJs. INFPs are hardly ever managers. ESFJs want things done their way and are horrible with computers. ESFPs run boutiques, and ENTJs regret hiring INFJs. Oh, that's a great way of summing up New York, Rachel. It's great. It's got some NI pop to it there. Cloud, will you stop playing Thought Police? What's 2CB? You think further down the function stack you go, the more potentially volatile the function becomes? I don't know. It's like in general, it seems like ISFJs don't have a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol. They tend to be pretty chill about it. But my friend Dave Porter, he was a drunk. He was an ISFJ drunk. So it does happen that sometimes they're not. But yeah, in general, I would say things get a little more volatile as they go down the stack. Fourth slot seems pretty volatile. Like you're gonna have some, I don't know if volatile is the right word, but you can see my SI fourth slot all the time. I'm always smoking cigarettes and getting up and getting coffee and I mean, what you call the MBTI model, what you mean to ask there, Cloud, is am I sure that cognitive functions are correct as conceptually? I never seen a question. Well, certainly I don't spend much time questioning the basic concept anymore. There's a long time when I did question the basic concept and limited my claims to just saying this is a taxonomy of attention. It was only once I've sort of figured out the mechanics of it that I went so far as to say it's even something that's a model rather than a taxonomy. Taxonomy is just basically something that goes, well, these animals are mammals, and these ones are reptiles, and these ones are amphibians. That's a taxonomy, right? But a model is something that you can actually model. That is to say, everything expresses along a couple of force vectors, and there are objects and fields and etc. So am I convinced about cognitive functions as a basic map for understanding personality, yeah, I am convinced about it because, I mean, first of all, it's logically necessary, and that's the most important thing, is that it's logically necessary. If somebody is indeed distinct from another person in a way such as spends more of their time ideating than they do keeping track of new ideas, if in fact those are different ways of attending to things, and in fact they are, it's pretty much indisputable that I can either archive shit or I can make new shit. There's no disputing the fact that there are different ways of being and that they are exclusive of each other. So given that, some basic observations like this, we can see when we piece it all together that it's logically necessary, for one thing, simply because some manners of paying attention are exclusive of others, and because people do habitually pay attention in some ways and habitually don't pay attention in some other ways. In other words, I'm habitually not making videos in which I'm teaching you how to fix broken plumbing or something, or going over the differences between different kinds of electric scooters, like my friend Cameron's an ISTJ, and comparing on various vectors of comparison the performance of an electric scooter versus a bicycle versus another kind of electric scooter. The video has no talking in it, just scenes of him doing things with these various devices and sort of his scoring of them. So it's like I don't do things like that. Other people habitually do nothing but things like that. Some people do habitually things like I'm doing, a wide variety of all ideational stuff. Some people are extremely prolific. Some people are very occasional producers. In other words, we can watch people over time and note that their processes, the processes which they tend to prioritize in terms of hours in the day spent attending via that manner, they stay consistent day after day after day. And any reasonable objective observer once they're aware of these possible attentional channels, and no matter how the only thing is there's not anything I can think of that doesn't really fit underneath one of these attentional channels per se that's you could call a human behavior or manner of being, except potentially faith-based behaviors, which don't seem to necessarily fit under anything, although they seem to be probably, I would guess they fit more under NI than anything else. Regardless, once you acknowledge that people do pay attention in different ways, and that there are relationships between those ways of paying attention that involve proportionality, inverse proportionality, or exclusivity, which can be observationally established, then it becomes necessary to taxonomy that. In other words, well, let's map this whole area of thing out and see just how many attentional channels we can determine. And it needs to have a certain logic to it. Now, Jung was the one who came up with the idea of cognitive functions, that people pay attention in different ways. Socionics did a good job of sort of hammering into a reality of a front and back stack, seeing it more process oriented, but still missed the boat in a number of different areas. Why am I convinced about what I'm saying? Well, because all of its claims that are definitive link back to clear empirical data, either observational or actually empirically gathered, like in a typing session or something, tested out, because these attentional manners do test out exactly as hypothesized they would in polars. In other words, having polar TI has in fact tested out across the typing and all the typings. There's never been a concurrent polar between TI and something else. And every TI polar person has proved to be consistent with either ESFP or ENFP on the other testable metrics as well. And so it's like there's just way too much avalanche of data and confirmation, both empirically and logically, to meaningfully deny the the accuracy of the map. And that's all it is, remember, is a map of how people be. Note what makes it fundamentally superior to something like the Big Five. The Big Five says how people have attributes of being, or in other words, which attributes of being people have. People don't have attributes of being. People do be. They are processes through time. And so it's fundamentally off on the wrong foot to attempt to reduce the processes of through time that people habitually display into attributes that people possess. That's the fundamental mistake that the TE camp makes when it comes to psychology. I've never read you. You're right, but I didn't say anything to make you think I never read him. I just said he's the one who came up with the idea of it. You know, give him credit where credit's due. But you're absolutely right. I've never read any. Not meaningfully. I mean, maybe I've read a little bit of it here and there, but never sat down and read the whole book. That's the great thing about being an NETI Dom is ideation is your business. You don't need to just turn to anybody else to determine what the best idea is. Don't forget to wear sunscreen. Now, look, if you are an INFP and you are needlessly wearing a sweater right now, you don't need to bother with the sunscreen. That's just overkill. You got a sweater on already. It's 110 degrees. You got a sport bra. You got a long sleeve shirt. You got a cardigan, and you got a big bunchy sweater on. You do not need to put sunscreen on your chest. Chat is mildly unipolar inaccessible. I would suspect that the unipolar type would probably find the live chat here annoying or confusing or unbelievably dull and pointless, probably. So there's a lot of NE here. There's a lot of NI too, though. You might like the NI part at least. Stopped raining, and now bombs are falling from the sky? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that, Bacon. Raindrops do a lot less damage than bombs. How do ESFPs use NE? Serves their SE. So if you really are an ESFP, you come up with random ideas to come throw out here in order to provoke some sort of, it's like a kick, like this shit, kick the anthill. If I don't respond fast enough, you repeat it. You kick the anthill, get a response. You would like to provoke responses. You think expert intuition is there for that purpose as well. Hi, am I right to say SI users are slower than SE users without learning a new skill, but they will become better at said skill through practice compared to the SE users? I would agree with that completely. I mean, because the SE users probably won't stick with that skill. Of course, it depends what kind of skill it is. But if it's a skill that requires muscle memory, like playing the guitar or golf, maybe, then yeah. Oh, you got in trouble, Cloud. Cloud got in trouble. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for getting ESFP Cloud in trouble. He's being aggressive because he's an ESFP. It doesn't matter how much you like ESFPs. They fundamentally find this NI environment dull. And so they can't help themselves. They try to cause disruptions and provoke shit and make a ruckus. I've experienced it before plenty of times for the ESFPs. So then they can be quite troublesome. They are they can Chloe and ESFP destroyed the TWFP raw room channel 1, which had shit tons, thousands and thousands of hours of footage. She destroyed it with her constant anthill kicking, dropping copyrighted shit into the live stream and then leaving, and it was just a nightmare. She was an absolute nightmare. But the nice thing is, if let's assume he is an ESFP, Cloud is an ESFP. I'm not absolutely convinced he is. Seems a little clever for one. But let's assume he is. The nice thing about this format is it's easy to police. The timeout is a effective tool, and it's hard to damage in the way that the raw channel was. So, yeah. Okay, it is now 7:00. I am going to smoke this cigarette. I'm going to stand over here by the door, smoke a cigarette, finish this coffee, come over here, turn this off, and then I'm going to go inside and watch this basketball game with my dad. My daddy poo. What's an ESFP? An ESFP is somebody who is an extroverted sensor. That is to say, they're very much about the evolving present and taking action therein. But they have, as their tool function, introverted feeling, which means they check to see if something is legitimate based on their own interested calculus, whether it makes them feel good or not, basically. So they are among the more impulsive types and potentially fun types and a lot of other things. Cool. I will check my email and I will call you too. I'm still going to call you. Maybe I'll call you this evening. Because I'm going to post bowl, I'm going to smoke a cigarette, and I just all that stuff I said, okay? The needless sweater wearing of the INFP would be a good documentary. You go into the city and film them from a distance and make like anthropologist comments about them. Note the INFP as she bunches up her sweater. This INFP looks incredibly troubled. Apparently, someone has asked her a binary question. If I'm reading her lips correctly, I'm not sure. It depends. It really all depends on the circumstances. Yes, somebody's asked her a binary question. She's stumped. The INFP in the bunchy sweater is stumped. She's rolling up those bunchy sweater sleeves, crossing her arms, shaking her head. She's confused. Where are my reading glasses? I need to get this hair off of my nose. Without Rachel here, I have no nose hair remover person. My eyes are bad at seeing up close shit in general. Look at this. Ooh la la. Cameron made another card. Pretty good, huh? Ooh la la. Does it remind you of sensuality? Does it remind you of the first time you touched yourself down there? Oh, yes, it does, Eric. It reminds me of that. Oh, I remember. 'Twas the first time I touched myself down there. Go on. It was deeply, deeply sensual. Go on. Then I felt ashamed. Ah. Good, good. Shame is the appropriate emotion.
Afterwards, I killed my parents.
Open. Are you telling that story again?
It was an accident. I'm blind.
Being blind does not make killing your parents an accident, Open.
I shot them to death.
I know, Open. Dozens of times each. I don't know how one does that accidentally.
By being blind.
That doesn't make you murder people, Open.
I know, it was an accident. I love porridge. Now that I'm at the orphanage, I can eat all the porridge I want.
Oh, Open. Yeah, Open is the blind, porridge-loving Elizabethan British orphan boy who killed his parents so he could get into the orphanage so he could eat more porridge. Rachel with the sass. Rachel busting out the sass tonight. Oh, those naughty ESFPs. That's funny, Cloud. Seems a little clever for an ESFP, frankly. I thought that on a few occasions. Rachel paid for a typing with money, Chivas. Okay, Rachel paid for typing with money. I got $100 out of her. She's definitely gotten way more out of me than I ever got out of her. Anyway, but that is totally fine. She paid me. She did. She paid me. I typed her. Typed her wrong. I'm so glad that she did. You know, that's the thing. She found me, right? That's the thing to remember is she found me and made it happen. So I'll always appreciate that. Yeah. Sweet is right. That's why Rachel is my impossibly pure and just slice of immaculate angel food cake. Oh, Jeebus. Are you teasing? I think sometimes you're not really respecting FI, okay? I don't think the moderator is an INFJ. Which one? Ah. Hey, Cloud. I know. Why don't you come back out of timeout and immediately begin with yet another provocative statement? If you PayPal me, $100, then I'll email you and we'll schedule time. And I'll be there. We'll do it in a room called whereby.com/autonomy. I'll send you a link to it. Good. Schedule time. We'll both meet there. I'll ask you serious questions and try to determine your type. I'm not really having hard feelings about Kiva's Dark Phoenix. Well, look, Cloud, I will totally time you out just for annoying Rachel. So don't push it. Giving Jeeves a wrench is a bad idea, Eileen. I don't want to give anybody else wrenches. Too many wrenches around here anyway. Okay. Why is it that you start all of your live chats with dear friend? I'm curious. Who is the obligated introvert? Is that Countess? We should vote to see if the community wants Jeeves to hold a wrench. Yeah, everybody wants a wrench. I tell you what, will it make all you wrench wanters feel happier if I take the wrench away from Octavia Silva? Will that satisfy everyone's bloodlust? There. Now Octavia Silva doesn't have a wrench anymore. Does everyone feel better? Every time everybody complains about wanting a wrench, I should take someone else's wrench away. Hey, it's you guys did it to him. You guys did it to him. Yeah, wrenches ain't all they cracked up to be. Listen, Octavio Silva was never supposed to have a wrench in the first place. I just gave him a wrench briefly so we could post a link. And then I just never took it away from him. It's a reference to the perks of being a wallflower, huh? Thank you for answering. That's such a clear answer. I appreciate that. I'll have to check out that book. If I please does not need authority. See, I please are the fair ones, remember? If I please, they're just moist. Is everybody aware that Eileen is now an ENTP? When did you become an ENTP, Eileen? I actually, this one, I don't find myself rejecting out of hand. As it seems actually plausible to me. Oh, Octavio Silva, it's okay. It's okay. There might be some. Listen, you got laid off because we had an excess of wrenches. But if we're hiring again, believe me, you're on our list. We'll call you right away. Okay. Noah McFarland's an ENFJ. He's decided. Well, congratulations on your ENFJ hood. I want you to practice your bros. I want you to practice your high fives. And I want you to practice using the word amazing. Amber, you know me too well. Everyone's like, I can't believe Eric did that. And he's not giving it back to him. Hey, everyone just fucking relax. I mean, seriously. What? It's a wrench. So, who knew these wrenches would cause so much problems? For a long time, I didn't have any until I gave Rachel one. Octavio Silva, relax. I'll give you your wrench back at some point, okay? I don't want you to feel bad. Ay. Come on, you guys. Don't guilt me like that. You're killing me. Oh, Jesus. Okay, listen. I've got my wrench giving power and a time lock safe. So I can't do anything at the moment. But once that time lock safe opens up on some other occasion, I shall reinstate your wrench, okay? This is so okay. All right. Okay, Eileen. Jesus. Do you see how eager people are to fight with me around here? Everyone wants to be your lawyer, Octavio Silva. I couldn't find your name anymore because it's not blue. I do feel like I get caught every time I try to spin anything. So I can't get away with shit around here. Yeah. Rachel had me show her my nipple earlier today. Hey, Winston's mom's here. Finally. Jesus Christ, Winston's mom. Where you been? God, we've all been waiting for you. I did actually wonder where you were, believe it or not. Like, where's Winston's mom? Like, how many blue people are there here? Just Rachel and Octavia Silva, huh? And then Hamo finally showed up. Where's Winston's mom? I'm sure Winston's mom will be. Look, if you really want to get that ridge back, Octavia Silva, you got to get Winston's mom in your camp. She'll guilt me into it for sure. Winston's mom has never used her wrench ever. She is the most useless moderator in history, frankly. But she is sort of an honorary branch for her. I don't know. I, as far as I can recall, she has never one time used it. You could be spewing some spew out here, and usually Hambone is the one who puts the hammer down. But like tonight, Rachel put the hammer down, and oh, you are not getting a wrench, Cloud. That's for sure. Oh, I mean, I'm here looking at the chat. It says when somebody, yeah, it does say. It says in the chat. It goes, Mia has been timed out by Hambone, or Mia has been timed out by Curve Server. I've never seen anybody Mia be mad by Winston's mom. You underestimate the power of the timeout. Wrench me down and I will become more unbannable than you can possibly imagine. A good one, Noah. That's a good one. What's the theme of tonight's discussion? Tonight's discussion was supposed to come to an end 30 minutes ago, but I'm having fun chatting with everybody. I plan to go in and watch Lin Yinshen's banned from this channel. Right. You're right, Ron Solo. That is what she does. Of course, that doesn't always work. So, you know, we need both kinds of people around here. I really like the way Hambone utilizes the wrench. His discretion is exactly the same as my own, it seems, consistently. It's like when he doesn't, I agree. Even if it's sort of borderline, I'll agree. I'll be like, yeah, I'm glad he didn't, even though it seems borderline. When he does, I think, good call, you know. But like he says, it comes with a certain amount of burden, right? I think it's probably an interesting job. I think it's not necessarily a fun job. Sometimes if he's in a pissy mood, he probably has a little fun with it. I think about being in a pissy mood and get a little slap happy with it, you know, but that's fine. I can see myself doing the same thing. I think this might be the first time I've seen Rachel use the wrench to bust somebody. Yeah, Yinlin Chen really despises me. I don't know who it is, but can't stand me. Really spiteful. Yes, I do have fishies, Octavio Silva. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to name one of my fishes after you. I am going to name one of my fishes after you. Let me see which one. And I'll take a picture of it. I'm going to post it in the community tab. This fish is Octavio Silva, okay? That's pretty special. You get a fish named after you. That means something. It's a lot more than a wrench. It means you're a fish's godfather. That means if Rachel and I die, you're responsible for that fish. You know what? I'm gonna let Octavio Silva choose. Do you want the yellow spotted backfin kind? You want the orange and red line kind? Or something else? There's these three choices. Yellow spotted backfin kind, orange with the red line kind, or something else? I'm pretty sure you're named after it, Cloud. A neutrally colored one. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to look at them all later after we get finished this thing. I'm going to find the most neutral colored fish. And name it Octavio Silva. I'm going to post a picture of it. Okay. Now, for now, my friends, it's time. Yes. Parting is such sweet sorrow. But at a time that I bid you adieu. No one, don't be sanctimonious. I bid you all adieu, farewell, and good evening.